I used to work for a radio station for 10 years and I'm suffering lipedema. And that's why I'm working here, because I came here as a patient before I started to work here. My legs and my arms were getting thicker and thicker. And my sister told me, that's not you anymore. I used to be a very sporty person, but nothing helps, no diet, no sports. And she told me to go to a vein specialist and gave me his address. And I went there and he took a look and said, you're suffering lipedema. It's a disease and only liposuction helps. So it was like a smack in my face. I had to fight against the tears because he told me there's nothing I can do and I have to wear compression and I have to go to a physician to do something against the edema every week, twice. I have no time for that. I always work very hard. And my decision to do a liposuction, I chose one day after the diagnosis. The first one was in the arms, in backside, because you only can do the backsides and the inner legs, the whole leg. And the second were outer legs, and the third were front legs.
We're using about 10 liters of fluid, maybe 11, depending on the case. But so 10 liters is actually the limit. Because we found out that 10 liters is better than 6. So more tumescent fluid, the more we protect the tissue. And especially in lipedema cases where you have a thicker flap of fat, it's essential to have enough tumescent fluid, otherwise you can't treat it. And then you have always a situation that you want not only to treat a little inner thigh, you want to treat like a condition, like 1 session, 2 sessions, and then the legs are done. So it makes sense for the patient. Tumescent fluid interacts with the tissue and will change the consistency of the fat, but also it will influence the site of surgery in respect to the connective tissue. And what we don't want is to have too much of a damage on the connective tissue, because it would then have an effect on the wound healing, plus on the lymphatics, which we also want to preserve. This is the reason why, number one, we have a high volume tumescence, and secondarily, we have vibration cannulas, which move so quickly that they escape the suction, meaning that the speed of vibration exceeds the speed of aspiration. And in the minute the fat lobules or the fibers will be drawn in by the suction, the cannula moves away from it. So this is the reason that when I go in here, there's no resistance. Okay? So it's a combination between tumescent plus the vibration, which is essential to have a lesser damage of the tissue condition. In most lipedema patients, the thickness of the flap is thicker. So you have, and they have also a different kind of lymph stasis in the condition. So you have more kind of a pronounced lymph dripping. And when you have a big case with big thickness, you have to guarantee that there's a good drainage. So I'm more conservative in big cases in order to avoid wound healing disturbance. I have an assistant always, and they stretch the skin to stabilize the tissue conditions. It's called the mask technique. Manual assisted skin stabilization technique. And the patient is awake so they can actually move actively. So it's an active position procedure.
I'm doing sports now and I'm doing metabolic balance, and I lost again 10 pounds. Yeah. And that's great. You can do something again if it's recognized very early. So you have your whole life not suffering the aching of the legs, the swelling in your legs and your arms. In a case of doubt, I can recommend to everyone, go to a specialist and ask him. That doesn't cost you money, it's just a bit time, but it's important time to change things in your life. Maybe to get more self-confidence. Because if you know what's happening with you and your body, you can handle it. I'm suffering a disease and I will suffer it my whole life, but I don't look like and I don't feel like. And that's great.